Welcome to MAKE, Hands-on Intro to Engineering Design, a course taught at the University of South Florida. This tutorial discusses the importation of step files as well as advanced assembly concepts. Alright, today I'm going to demonstrate how to import 3D CAD models from manufacturers into Autodesk Inventor so that you can use them in your own assemblies and designs. So we're going to do that by showing you how we imported the CAD model of the case that we use for all the projects from the manufacturer's website. So what I did was I went to Polycase, who manufactures the black cases that we use, the standard cases for the project, and went to the DC47F, which is the specific case that we use, and that's a heavy-duty electronics enclosure. And so if you notice, they have a little tab here that says 3D model, and we can go there and select this zip file that contains step file types of the 3D CAD model of the DC47F. So we're going to click on that and open the zip folder up. It provides us with two step files, and we're going to select the one here that says DC47F MBYT. The YT is the version that we have, which has the flush top that's also textured. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go over here to a folder that I've created, and I've already put the step file into this folder. And so what I'm going to do is now go into Inventor, click Open, and I'm going to select down here step file. Our step file pops up, and I'm going to double click on that and have it open up for us. Takes a moment just to import the 3D models. But now that it's open, you can see that it has converted the step files into parts, as well as made an assembly for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually save this file, because none of these parts have been saved, and I'm going to hit OK. It saves it to the folder, the case folder, where we initially saved the step file and opened the step file from. So I'm just going to hit OK, because I'm fine with that, and it's going to save it. And now what I'm going to do is create a new assembly that we're going to combine all these parts in. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to place, I'm going to find on my desktop the case folder and these imported components, and I'm going to select this part, which is the main body of the case. I'm going to hit Open. You can see it brings it up. I'm going to right click and place it grounded at the origin. So you can see it's now placed here. I'm going to hit Escape, so we only have to select the one individual part. And I'm going to place the top now, which is listed as T. Hit Open. I'm going to rotate this twice by 90 degrees. Click it and hit Escape, and now we have the top and the main portion of the case. So what I'm going to do now is apply the constraints to assemble the case. I'm going to take this bottom face of the top and mate it with the edge here. Now if we get our left view, you can see it's now flush, but it's not fixed in place, so the way we have to do that is going to constrain the holes for the screws with the hole, the threaded inserts on the actual case. So I'm going to go here and get these two concentric constraints. There's the first one. Move it so we can see the two features we're trying to constrain, and select those features and hit OK. So now our box is assembled and everything is properly constrained. So what we can do is we can actually go in and start editing the parts. The only hole I know for sure that we need to make is going to be on this top surface. It's going to be directly in the center. It's about a 1/4 inch hole. So to edit the part, we can actually double click on it, and it takes us from, instead of being in the assembly environment, it brings us to the 3D model environment, which we have been familiar with working with parts. And so we can do this exactly the same way as we would edit any other part. We can create a 2D sketch, click on the surface, and it brings up the 2D sketch for us. So like I said, that we know we're going to have a hole here. It gives us our center point. Because the step file was created in inches, we're also working in inches in this one. So I'm going to say 0.25 inches, hit enter, and finish that sketch. I'm going to go here and make an extruded cut in the same way that we always do. Make it 2 next, hit OK, and now we have our cut inside of our part. I can click return, and it will now take us back into the assembly environment which we were just in. So now to import the assembly of the motor and the model of the rotary engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit place component, and I'm going to locate that assembly that we created. So that's located here. I called it example.iam, and I'm just going to hit open. And now you can see it imported the entire assembly for us. It's not oriented in the right position, so I'm going to rotate it 3 times around the x-axis and get it in its proper orientation here. Click it, and then hit escape, and now the rotary engine assembly is placed in here. So to make working with this a little easier, I'm actually going to make the bottom portion of the case invisible and only leave the top. So you can do that by right-clicking on it in the part tree on the side, left side here, and click visibility, and it will make that part invisible. So this makes it a little easier for us to work within this assembly, placing these constraints. So the first constraint I'm going to do is get the top edge of this motor and place it on the bottom face of the top of the case. So I'm going to constrain this surface here with the bottom surface of the top of the case. Hit OK, and as you can see now it's properly placed. And what I'm going to do then is constrain the axle of the stepper motor with the hole that we have just created on the top of the case. So I can go here, and now as you can see, the motor assembly has been properly placed. So now the next step is to get all of the mounting holes for the motors, the stepper motor, as well as the rotary motor model. So the way we do this is by actually using the project geometry tool. This will allow us to, without measuring, place holes for the mounting components fairly easily. So the way I'm going to do this is actually by modifying the top of the case here. I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to bring us up into our 3D model environment. And as you can see, the other assembly has been kind of made transparent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another 2D sketch on the top surface of the assembly, of the case top, and use the project geometry tool to actually select geometry from the other assembly to give us the locations of the holes that we're going to need to place. So I'm going to project the holes, project the geometry of the holes from the assembly here, and as you can see, it makes a new sketch feature on the top of our case top. So I'm going to do that with the 4 corners of the rotary engine assembly, and then I'm going to go over here to the stepper motor, and I'm going to select the holes for the stepper motor threads. So we'll go and look back at our top surface. And as you can see, there are now holes placed, or I'm sorry, sketched circles placed where all of the holes will need to be uh, extruded. So what we can do is we can hit Finish Sketch and then go to our Extrude tool. And for the profiles, we'll go over here and select each one of these profiles. These are the projected geometry features that we just made. Change this to an extruded cut, and the distance is 2 next. I'm going to hit OK. And now, as you can see, all of the mounting holes that we need to properly mount the stepper motor and the motor model have been created. So we're going to hit Return and go back to our assembly environment. And now the final thing that we need to do to get this model fairly complete is to go in here and place the spacers for the mounting holes of the rotary engine. So we're going to actually create a part here within the assembly environment that we're going to place as the spacers for the rotary engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the Create component here. I want to use a metric template, so I'm going to go here and select metric. I click this new icon here, and it allows you to browse the templates. I'm just going to call this spacer, and it shows you here the location where it's going to be saved, and I'm just going to save it where I save the other case components. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to click this surface as the surface that I want to create the part on. So once it does that, it opens up the 3D model environment. I'm going to click Create 2D Sketch. I'm going to create it here on this plane, which is flush with the top surface of the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these spacers 5 millimeters inner diameter and 10 millimeter outer diameter. Oops. I'm going to make that 10. And these are according to the spacers that I found online, which have a 5 millimeter inner diameter, 10 millimeter outer diameter, but they have a pretty standard length of about 30 millimeters, so I know I'm going to need to cut them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the spacer, but I'm going to define its length according to the features of the components that I've already placed. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extrude this feature, and I'm going to use the 2 as the extents, and I'm going to select the bottom face of the rotary engine assembly. And in this way I can actually create the length of the spacer appropriately without ever having to measure anything. And then in the end I can measure the component that I created to know how long I will need to cut these spacers when I actually assemble it in real life rather than on the model. So I've created the spacer, it made it the appropriate height, and now I'm going to return and I'm going to constrain this part. Because I created it on the face of the top of the case, it actually is already flush with the top there. I'm going to hit OK, and now if we look, you can see that there's the single spacer with exactly the right height appropriately placed into the assembly. So last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place 3 more of these spacers in there, and I'm actually going to show you a trick how to place components pretty quickly. You can use this pattern tool up here and click the component that you would like to place, and then you click Feature Pattern Select, and Inventor is actually fairly smart with this, and once you select the feature, it will automatically place components appropriately according to the features you set. It realizes that there's a pattern according to these features and will automatically place it. So if you see, once I selected that circle, or the hole that is used to mount the rotary engine between the spacers there, it actually placed it on all 4 corners. And so in this way you can place many components very quickly. So I just hit OK. We can give the visibility back to the bottom of the case, and as you can see, our assembly here is fully constructed with spacers, stepper motor, and the actual 3D printed components along with the case. This concludes our tutorial. Thanks for watching.